we had another great offseason. I just want to thank all the staff that has boots on the ground with our players. Our players go back in their own markets, most of them, and lifestyle services with Ayanna Lawson, PR with Matt, our security team are handling a lot of player camps and appearances, and then medical and performance coaching staffs out on the road, working with the guys on their games and bodies, and that takes a lot of effort. I want to thank all the staff that did that. I also want to thank Clay and Sam for resourcing that. It allows us to be a 12-month program. So hope you guys had a great summer.
Open up for questions.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Joe.
Wanted to ask you about Chet. Obviously, he was impactful when he came back from injury, but with a, I guess full off season, shortened off season for you guys. But how do you expect kind of him to? How can a full off season sort of help him even more so than when we last saw him?
Well, I think we saw last year. I think he did great work last offseason and came into last season looking the way he did, which was very impressive. Obviously, the injury changed the course for last season, and he did an incredible job of hopping on a moving train and helping our team reach its ceiling last year. And so he's got a track record of productive off seasons. What that actually looks like, I try to stay pretty open to. I don't really predict anything. It's just the guys that are efficient and impactful are the ones that tend to have the runway for more. And he's clearly shown to be an efficient and impactful player despite only being a third-year player. And so we're excited about where that goes.
Were there things in those first 10 games before he got hurt that he was showing that maybe were slow to come back post-injury?
No, I was more referring to those 10 games relative to the previous season. I just think he's shown the ability to use an off season to improve. He breathes the game, and so he's a guy that if you give him time, he's going to get to work, and that's what he's done his entire life. It's what he's done this past off season.
So, Coach, you guys are obviously defending champs. You've signed your 3 top stars. You got all the TV appearances. Clearly, your positioning in the league as a team from the outside looking in has changed. Does that change anything about how you approach this process from Mel's standpoint? The fact that you're defending champs, you got an established roster, everybody's gunning for you, you've got the national television appearances, all of that stuff.
The circumstances are always changing year to year, and even within the season. The challenges are always changing year to year, and in the season, we try to have a very consistent and stable approach to that. And we try to have things that are pretty timeless and that can transcend circumstances. And we emphasize those in all circumstances. We rely on those in all circumstances. And in the face of every challenge, this year is no different. The unpredictable circumstances and challenges that'll come up through the season, that's how we'll navigate them as we always have.
Shay's a guy who just gets better every season. Obviously, we see what he does on the court, but can you kind of speak to just that behind the scenes work, the off-season grind that he goes through, and just how much, I guess, dedication he has to that part of his game?
It's a better question for him because a lot of his work is in the invisible spaces. He doesn't, he just does the work, and a lot of it is unseen. But he is deeply committed to being the best player and leader and person that he can be, and he puts the work in behind that. And improvement is a skill, and being able to improve kind of ahead of your improvement curve, so to speak, is a skill that he has displayed time and time again. And so he's got a great process, he's got great vision, and he puts the work behind that clearly. In terms of what that actually looks like, he's the only person that can really answer that accurately.
Coach, obviously, Jada went through his off-season surgery with his wrist, and recently a lot of videos have been coming out of him, working out, with his left hand, obviously, getting back to that. What are those conversations been like recently, leading into his ramp up, the return?
Yeah, I think, a professional basketball player in the offseason, wakes up at the same time, does their PT, does their strength training, does their basketball work, once they get into the rhythm of the offseason, and sometimes does basketball work two times a day in his case. And the fact that he was rehabbing an injury didn't change his process in the offseason, which is impressive. It builds an unbelievable amount of fortitude and commitment and mental toughness to do that, even within the constraints. And he showed that ability. He's a professional basketball player, and even if it's in the face of a rehab. It doesn't change his off-season process. That was very impressive this year with him.
And Mark, how has Mark Daigneault's life changed since winning the NBA title?
Not much, to be honest with you. Not much. You're in the cycle of the season, cycle of the off season. The season ended, and we had the draft. We had summer league. We had to onboard new players. Players got into their off season stuff, and the majority. The only changes my life's taken on is with our kids and our family. We have a young family, and they're growing, but that's been the most change that I've experienced.
No, people don't bother you more in town or recognize you, or people back home, or any of that stuff?
Yeah, that's definitely happened the last couple of years, but that doesn't change your life. So,
you always talk about this uncommon in terms, I guess, of touring and everything else. Any concerns? Because a few more commercials coming their way, promos for the networks, things of that nature. Any concerns that you change anything about how you approach camp, or anything, or just like another camp, not one?
Yeah, like I said, the circumstances and the challenges are always changing. And a month into the season, the circumstances will change and the challenges will change, and that's just the flow of an NBA season. And it's pretty unpredictable as to where that'll go. What is predictable is the solution to it and the things that we're going to rely on. We've always relied on being very present. We've always relied on stacking the days. We've always relied on continuous improvement and an emphasis on the things that kind of transcend circumstances. And that's really where our focus has been and is and will continue to be.